Howdy, everybody. So, continuing on with the discussion on AI, um, the future of trucking is is only limited by your imagination. Imagine, for example, you're on the spot market. You're an owner operator in the spot market, and you're going to spend a lot of time booking loads, things like this. Well, in the future with AI, you wouldn't be the one booking your own loads. You would have an AI agent that would book your loads for you. And you wouldn't do your own accounting. This would all be streamlined by AI and agents or bots. Now, the idea with agents or bots is like, imagine you have your own personal assistant. You know, like like maybe in generations past, the boss may have a secretary, a personal assistant, but instead you have AI, and AI does a lot of things for you, so you can focus on those tasks that maybe you don't want AI to do, or maybe those tasks that are generating the income. But let's just say, for example, if you had a mountain of paperwork nowadays, where you got to do all your accounting. What if AI could do all your paperwork for you and file your taxes? That would be enormous savings in time and energy and headache for you. You could focus on those aspects of your business that generate revenue versus trying to be in compliance. What if you had AI that looked for your loads on the spot market, and while you're currently delivering your current load, AI has already booked your next load. It's already negotiated the price, based on the parameters you set. They've already scheduled it. They've already put it on your calendar. They're acting as your personal assistant. They're taking place of a broker. They probably had negotiated that truckload with another AI system. So you would have like two AI systems that communicated with one another, and now they need the silly human to haul the load. You wouldn't necessarily even haul the load if it's an autonomous truck. You know, you may be the human in the loop, but you may not even be doing the work. So, and then it comes time to getting paid for that load. That too can be done by AI. And you think about factoring and things like this, and it could automatically be deposited in your bank account. And then you think about your finances, and well, AI agent can manage your finances. They could pay all your bills, and they can invest your money or save your money or grow your money. And it would be like, AI does all these tasks that maybe if you had to go hire someone to do for you, you may have a team of 10 different people to help you run your business. But because AI can do it, you have one AI agent or AI bot, and they do all these things for you. They can check your email, they can read your email, they could respond to your email, they could file your email. A lot of times I get so much garbage in my email, and it would be nice to have an AI personal assistant just go through my email, and sort it all out, summarize it for me or whatever. Maybe even respond. Same thing with text messages. Like, text messages are becoming as much of a headache as emails. So but you can have AI assistant that manages all this time wasting. All this activity that you waste time on that's not generating revenue. AI can do for you. You think about fuel receipts, or parts receipts, or supply receipts, or any of that's ordering supplies. AI could do all that stuff. It seems incredible nowadays, because as an owner operator, you spend an enormous amount of time running your small business, and the easy part is driving. But in the future, AI would do all those administrative tasks for you, and they may even do the driving. So you're going to be the future truck driver will actually be someone who just keeps an eye on all these processes, but doesn't actually do any of the work. May not do the driving, may not be booking the loads, may not be paying the bills, may not be, keeping track of receipts or any of that. All that's done through AI. The only thing is that the owner operator is the designated human in the loop that oversees all these AI functions and interactions. We think truck driving today is a hard job. In the future, this might be considered, a cushy job. It's like all the work has been taken out of it. All the paperwork, all the compliance with rules and regulations. If AI can comply with hours of service and DOT requirements and stuff like that, it's like, they take a huge amount of expense out of the business model. It's amazing to think, what are the limits of AI? Well, it's really unlimited. It's only limited by your imagination. And you think, okay, well, obviously, I'm my age. I would like to retire before all this happens. I wouldn't mind being a bystander and just watch it happen, but I don't want to be affected by it because I think I might be without a job. But um, AI could have so many different uses. It's unimaginable. They could have AI schedule things on your calendar. They could be your appointment setters. They could determine your schedule from day to day or week to week. Not just for truckloads, but for doctor's appointments or social events or sporting events. Your AI assistant could put all that on your personal calendar. And then, when you think about the role of AI, it used to be, if you were a younger person, you would ask someone who is older than you, typically your parents or grandparents or older relatives, for advice or how do you do something. Nowadays people just go on YouTube. They go on YouTube, they find a how-to video, and they learn how to do it themselves. Well, in the future, you wouldn't even go to YouTube. You would just ask AI. AI, how do I do this? AI, I want to accomplish something, and then AI would provide you all the answers. So AI would take on the role of your advisor. The AI would be your coach, your life coach, your financial advisor. They would be your personal assistant. They would be your time manager. You would rely on AI as an integral part of your day-to-day operations. It's like, you wouldn't even be able to get out of bed without the assistance of AI. It's like, I'm not going anywhere without my AI. It's going to be an essential tool for you. Just like, if, like, say for example, you're in your truck and your truck breaks down, AI could tell you, where to take it for repairs. AI could schedule and reserve a hotel accommodation. They probably could order your food. And then you just have to, check in, and everything is done for you. And then AI scheduled your maintenance, and your maintenance is done, and AI tells you when it's ready, and you really just become a pawn that is moved around a chessboard. You're the human in the loop. You're the designated human. All these functions could be done without a human, but maybe society prefers there's a human in the loop. So that would be you. Your job is the designated human. You don't really have to do a whole lot other than, keep an eye on AI. That's it. Your whole job is not to do the work, not to do the driving, not to do the load selection or maintain the truck. Your job is just there to oversee AI while AI does all these functions. It's hard to imagine, but already small businesses are using AI as personal assistants. How long before that starts getting into trucking? And oftentimes you'll see the spot market guys complain about brokers and double brokering and factoring and things like this. Well, AI could fill these gaps. The AI could replace a lot of this. And you think about conflict between different people. One person's mad at another person because they didn't get what they want or whatever. But what if AI was dealing with another AI system? They probably would have less conflict. The two AI systems would reach an agreement and then tell the humans, okay, here's the deal. You know, you're gonna haul this load from point A to point B, and everything's been decided for you. Just get in the truck and go for a ride. You're not even gonna have to drive. So it's amazing what AI could do. You better keep your eye on it because there could be opportunities there. There could be cost savings. There could be ways to improve your productivity and improve your profitability for even your one person trucking operation. You don't want to be a laggard on technology. A laggard is someone who's slow to adopt or adapt to the change of technology. You probably want to be on the cutting edge. You probably want to be one of the first to adapt to the technology. Those who adapt early are probably going to win, versus those who sit back and let it happen are probably going to lose. So this is a change that's occurring, presently, and you either get on board or you're going to get run over. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the internet.